this is going to, I'm going to go just a little over 10 minutes with demonstrating this. Zirger Academy is based in Jeet. Jeet is a martial art that was pioneered by Bruce Lee. It's been carried on to the current status that it has by a man named Guru Santo. And basically what it is it's how to study all the martial arts and find yourself in it, and find a way to express yourself in it. And a lot of people focus on the discard what's useless part, but I would really like us to focus on the discovering all the lessons that are out there and finding out where they're useful. So what I'm going to do is bring on my first two guys. I want to show you how we develop striking and give you little examples. So this is a boxing demonstration at the front of the mat here. This is called cover hit. Cover hit's a basic Western boxing skill. Usually they wouldn't do it symmetrical like we're doing it, but what it does is it teaches you how to defend and offend simultaneously. Most of the time what happens is you throw an offense at somebody and they'll back up and they'll be out of range. So in this we're learning how to do a close cover and hit immediately back. Okay, let's rotate this. This is an example of the Muay Thai 18 count from our friends at TBA, our Thai Boxing Association of America. What they're learning here is how to do their defenses and their offense combination. Muay Thai really likes their combinations, and we're seeing legs, elbows, knees, so the whole gamut here. Guys, can you do the same drill with the elbow? It's called the art of 8 limbs. So you want to see shins, knees, elbows, and hands. Very much about conditioning and combos. Moving along. This is from the Filipino martial arts, Panatukan. You're looking at hubad. This is what the drill is called. Hubad teaches you strikes and defenses simultaneously, and this is most for line familiarization. So they're learning all the offensive and defensive lines in a continuum. And it's pretty random because they've got these 5 angles that they can work with and they don't know which angle's coming up next, right? Moving along. Wing Chun's actually the basis of Bruce Lee's training. So this is a small drill from Wing Chun, which I learned from Ryan. And this is just taking pop, ton, and moving in and out of the line. And it also presupposes the line in that you're already giving them a channel to shoot through, either the inside or the outside. And then you can throw in the other hand and you can start hitting. So let me just give you a quick demonstration of how this can go down. Jonathan? This is my pad drills training system, and it's going to look random because I want it to. Here. Here. Good. So, taking 4 different martial arts and putting them into one drill. So, the next thing we're going to look at is MMA. So, Bruce Lee was interested in Filipino martial arts. Guru Dan was related to Filipino martial arts. And Filipino martial arts is the only, maybe it's not the only, it's probably the most heavily practiced living sword art, in that people still fight with the swords the same way. And maybe that's stopping now, but it's the only standing military that still trains and uses sword in their combat personnel. So this is Sinawali. And we're just learning the line and the footwork that goes with them. So we move out of that. This is actually, the snaking here is a lot of what will happen in the outfighting. Then we move into the drill like Sangrada, where we're learning how to control the blade after an impact and how to set aside the blade. I just totally changed the drill on them. And this gives us a chance to learn things like disarms. So we go to the similar drills with long and short weapons, and you'll see they're pretty much the same. I'm going to show you several examples of samurai here. This is 3-count variation, 5-count variation, and you got to watch how you do it because again, this arm is very hard. I'm looking at the other one. So let's go. I don't usually drop the knives, but when I do. So this is another variation of samurai. We're learning the drills, but we can take this in freestyle. Go. All right. Oh. Moving from drills within a structure and leaving the structure so that you can actually fight with it. What's next on my list? Grappling. So Simon is our grappling specialist here. Because we're a JKD school, we study all the grappling styles that we can find. So Simon's going to demonstrate some small circle jiu-jitsu. These locks are what you want as a security guard, police officer, anybody that might have to restrain a person who's resisting. And that was like 4 different locks right there that he could have taken and ended the fight at any point. So next we're going to see some wrestling takedowns. So this is what you'd see in your high school wrestling. It's direct to the ground. It's actually really useful, freestyle wrestling for ground and pound, as we saw prior to the UFC developing a lot of rules. We saw a lot of the freestyle wrestlers using this for ground and pound. Next, we're going to look at judo. Judo being the basis for a lot of the military combatives and also for a lot of the current grappling arts that you see of Japanese derivative. So, and they use geometry so that a smaller person can take down a larger person. Next, we're going to look at some sambo throws. Sambo is a Russian grappling art, and they focus on leg locks a lot, which is actually illegal in the next grappling art we're going to look at, which is BJJ. Now, it's not that BJJ doesn't have leg locks, it's that they don't do them in tournament because they become very tournament oriented. You will see some BJJ guys that are very combative, but a lot more tournament these days. So this is a system where you can fight from the ground, fight from a non-dominant position being on your back, and find controls and tap or the person out. So meaning you're breaking their arms or cutting off their circulation, like in this game. Okay? So all of those taps were, I'm finished, right? So next, who was here last year? So, yeah? So did you see all my kids at my youth program guys that came out and they like deployed a whole bunch of concealed weapons? Yeah? So they wanted to do the same thing this year. And I was like, you know what? I think this year I want people to see the other side of your training. So John's 15. Okay?
No way.
And John, so they all wanted to do more of this knife stuff. And I was like, I want people to see you guys in a position of authority. So he wouldn't be allowed to do this job, but he's a security officer. Okay? So 3 years from now, he might be able to do this job. He's a security officer. This is secure ground. Okay? So anybody that crosses this ground is trespassing. And he's got to decide how he's going to deal with that trespasser. You know, whether he's going to move them along, whether he's going to restrain them for the police, you know, and he's got to do all that while being professional and while, you know, thinking about the legal liabilities. Okay, so he doesn't know what's going to happen here. I'm drinking. No. how does it feel to be in a position of authority? And you have to do this. How does that feel? Terrifying. So one of the things that we've added to the curriculum recently is CLAT. I've been going around and I've recruited like 3 new teachers, all morning being one of my favorites. Guru Dan Santo was the person that introduced me to CLAT. But it's a melee art, and you'll see it all through the Southeast Asia. So what we're going to look at is a juru here. So Joanne and Lara are showing juru. Now the juru is a compilation of moves that might have a specific meaning, but the jurus also always have multiple meanings. So these are basic movements that allow the student to go and practice the movements, like a form or a kata, and allow the teacher to basically compile the moves into a dance that can later be turned into applications. And a lot of the juru moves are very exaggerated. So I'll show you some applications. Now the thing about this is it's a very progressive kind of breaking and striking art, very combatively oriented martial art. Whoa, throw my did it. So that was just a quick example of the CLAT art. And we're moving and shearing of the balance. So we were going to show you some of what we do on Tuesday nights because we prepare for our throwdown group where we have all kinds of different fight challenge, which are all invited to come and fight at that. And also, we prepare for Dog Brothers matches, which is more of a Filipino martial art where we use weapons and full contact striking. So, but because we've used up our time already, I'm going to leave that out. Thank you very much for your time.